Hello everyone, my name is FusionX and in this video I'll be covering the basics of JavaScript. This is episode 2. Before we begin, I want to say that if you want, you can join my Discord server through the link in the description. The name of the server is overwritten and we have a custom coded bot for the server named Alliance. Without further ado, let's get on with the video. So to get started, we will be first looking at functions. These will be more advanced since this is episode 2. If you want to check out the first video, make sure to go to the cards which will hopefully appear right now or on the channel page or video description. So if we have a look at this, we can see that we have a bit more than last time. Not only do we have this part that explains the notes, we also have a for each loop. And we also have returning parameters, as well as checking if something is true or not. We also have something that will check if we will get thrown an error if something's not a string. If you do not know what a string is, make sure to check out the first video as that explains the basics. So we have input 1, input 2, input 3. These are all parameters. You can have as many inputs as you want. And here we have an array of the inputs, and make sure to check out the first video if you do not know what I am talking about. So we have a for each loop, which basically means we take an array and each element inside that array will be looped. So for example, the second loop will check input 2, third loop will check input 3, and then it will end. And obviously the first loop will check input 1. So if type of example does not equal string, this is checking if the one that is currently checking is not a string. And if it's not a string, it will say you can only give strings for this example function. And it will simply return an example. And obviously that will be an array. As we can see here, we have some multi-line comments. And this is basically describing our function. You can do this in any function. You can write the function first and then create the notes, which will fill all your parameters, which is nice. Or you can do it after you've done, or you can do it before you've done the function. I prefer doing it afterwards because then it fills all your inputs in. And as you can see here, we have selected that this is a string, and if we hover over this, we can actually see our nodes, and you can see string, 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 and that's what we have put it as. And the description is my example description. As we can hover over here, we can see everything. Returns an array, which does. Throws type error if one of the inputs are not a string. And here we have an example showing how you might do it. And all of these are strings, which means the example would not return an error. Next we'll be looking at strings in more detail, and let's have a look at it. So we have way more than last time, and we also have a function with multi-line comments, and we'll go step by step through this. So here we have a basic string, const abc equals quote unquote abc. And if we were to log this, we would simply get ABC. This function converts all alphabetical characters in a string to uppercase. So in this case, ABC will be converted into ABC except all uppercase. Same thing applies to lowercase, except it will remain the same since the string is already in lowercase form. And there's a very useful function called substring. This will give you the start number, which is here, and an optional end number, as you can see here. So this will return the first letter of the string. So this will return A. Second letter, it will return B. And this one will return C. Obviously this is guessing the X character of a string if you only input 1, or any number if you only get one parameter. But let's say you wanted to slice a part of the string and only keep one letter. So this is keeping the last letter of the string, and this is the slice function. Okay, same thing, start and end, and we can see here we are doing -1, which basically means we have the string and we are pretty much slicing it to the last character, and that will obviously return C. Second to last character would be substringing -2, that will return B. And obviously the third to last character, which is the first one, A. Ignore my comment there, I made a bad comment. And here we have a function getX character. And you can see here, this is just some dummy text. We can easily generate some dummy text using a website. And basically input the string and the character has to be a number. As you can see here, we had made it a number, and the example is simply just, we are asking for it to return, if we look in the example, 5. We are asking it to return the 5th character. So as we can see here, that would be M, that's the 5th character. Keep in mind, if we were to do 6, it would actually be the space and not I, because spaces also count as characters. So if the input's not a string, we'll throw an error saying it must be a string. If it is not a number, for example, if we were to put a string for the character or an array or something that's not a number, we'll get an error saying it has to be a number. This one's more advanced, where it's checking if the input is less than the character. For example, if we have foo, this is 3 characters long, and if we attempt to get the 4th character, that simply would not work, because there's 3 characters here and we're trying to get the 4th character, and I'll just return space or nothing. So to check this, we would have to use the greater than symbol on input.length, and that is how you check the length of a string. String.length. And here we will return an error saying that you cannot get there. Selected a numerical digit from the string to the character asked is bigger than the string length. And then we'll return by saying return input or substring character. Now we'll have a look at let's have a look at callbacks. So we'll be ignoring this section, as most of you will not know Discord.js library, and we'll be covering libraries afterwards in this section here. So we have a callback, which basically means we have a function which is actually asynchronous, meaning it's a promise, and the promise is a string, as we can see here. And if it's not a string, obviously say you cannot do that, and it'll throw an error. And we'll need to make a new promise for that, since we're doing an async function. And we'll have to resolve the promise by doing promise.resolve and then the promise that we have created. And then this simply just returns input.slice -1, like so. This is the new string. So let's have a look at libraries now. So to import a library, there's 2 ways. So as you can see here, it says hovering over saying it can be converted to an ES6 module. I prefer to use const, the name requiring the package. Obviously, since this is using some form of Node.js, which is basically, you have to install it, and it's kind of complicated at the beginning, but it basically gives you these files here. And you can see, if we have a look in here quickly, we can see Discord.js. So here's how we import a library. We say const our name equals require the package, and as you can see, it is asking if I want to convert it, and this is not what I prefer, but if we do the quick fix, which is control period, it will actually not return it for whatever reason. Oh well, what it would actually do is import Discord.js from, I'm not exactly sure how you do that, but import name from location. That's pretty much how you do it. And yeah, I do not like this part. You do not have to understand what this means, but basically that's how you acquire functions. For those of you, sorry, not a function, a library. For those of you who already know how Discord.js works, as you can see here, we are sending a message in the channel, and we're creating a message that displaying the author's ID, your avatar URL, and checking if it's a animated or not. In the size, it's 124. Next, let's have a look at an array in more detail. So here we have an array 1, 2, 3, and 4, and console.log array.join /n, which is a line break. It basically means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's a line break between each one. And if we console.log this, we are actually spreading it, meaning instead of it being the bracket and then the elements inside like this, of course with the elements, it will actually be spread along with commas. Basically, this is a spread function, and you're taking an array and you're spreading it along to make multiple different parameters. This would be useful if you are trying to execute some code from another file and you have an array, but you don't want one parameter to just be an array. You want to actually spread that across the whole parameters. So for example, if we want to execute some code, instead of it being a one array with the parameters, we have 1, 2, 3, and then we run into a problem saying that this is an array if we did not use a spread parameter. And if we were to use the spread operator, we would actually convert the array into everything inside of that array, separated by a comma, which is very useful. And of course you would also need commas here, since it's all separated by a comma. And we can obviously stack loads of an array on top of each other infinitely, but we'll have one massive array containing all the items. So since we're using spread operator, instead of it being one large array and then having an array and another array, for example, instead of it being this, array 1, array 2, it will actually be this. Let me do this again. It will be one massive array with all the elements inside, like so. It will be 1, 2, let me put a comma, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Instead of it being loads of different arrays stacked on top of each other. This is very useful as a spread operator. Now let's have a look at some more things that have not actually been stated yet. So we have looked at the isNaN before. isNaN is a very useful function to check if something is a number or not. So obviously that would return false, since that is a number, and nan means not a number. So it's checking if it's not a number. And obviously this is false, 1 is a number. And if we wanted to check if this is a number, it would actually return true, because it's not a number. A way around this would to convert a string into an actual number is using parseInt. If we hover over this, we can see s string radix and then is a number. From s, a string converted into a number. So if we parseInt 1, this would now be changed from 1 to literally 1. And if we were to check isNaN parseInt 1, this would be false now, because we have converted it into a real number. Also, a few things to keep in mind. If you want to find a really big number, for example, if we take this number, it cannot comprehend this number. Basically, there's a max safe integer number, which you can get by typing number.max safe integer. Basically, it has a limit, and as we can see here, this is the number. Anything past that, it cannot actually see it as a proper number. You see, if we add more digits, it gives us a warning. The more digits we add, the less likely it's going to be able to guess a number, which is not what we want. And we can also get infinity, like so, and negative infinity, since it still works like that. Anyway, this is all for today's tutorial. If you guys want me to make a Discord.js tutorial, which is basically in here, I will be making a tutorial on that. If you guys want, tell me in the comments, and you can tell me on my Discord server, which will also be linked in the description. The server names are written, and hopefully we can get another tutorial on this. Also keep in mind that I have another folder for HTML. This has loads of things in there, and at some point we could possibly cover HTML. Video goes out. Also keep in mind you can tap the upload ping on my Discord server, which will be listed in the description. In the roles channel, you simply tap the reaction corresponding to the embed, which you'll be able to see, and it gives you the role. Anyway, without further ado, I will end the video here. See you guys in the next video.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face, tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.